This episode of Fertile Talks is sponsored by ILMeds.co, an international mail order pharmacy specializing in fertility medications. If you're looking to save significantly on your fertility treatments without compromising on quality, ILMeds.co is an excellent choice, offering up to 80% of retail prices. And as a special offer to our listeners, use the code FT24 at checkout to receive a $50 discount on your order. For your convenience, you can find a link to their website in the episode show notes. Thank you, and let's get started. Welcome to Fertile Talks, the global podcast celebrating the diversity of fertility journeys. I'm your host, Dr. Yemi Famuyiwa. Whether you're just starting or simply curious, this is your safe space. In each episode, we will bring you expert insights, heartfelt personal stories, and the latest in reproductive health. Our goal is to break down barriers, tackle stigma, and provide support and hope. So whether you're in the Americas, Africa, or Asia, Fertile Talks is your companion on the path to parenthood. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Fertile Talks. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Famuyiwa, your host of Fertile Talks. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about exercise and fertility and going over some of the myths that may be out there and hopefully helping you get some better understanding. So when we think of exercise, some people think of it as just for weight loss. And I don't think it's just for weight loss. It should serve both weight loss if you want it to, but maybe more to seek a balance, to get your body moving. So recent data has shown that there is not a dose-dependent relationship between exercise and fertility. There is actually a sweet spot of moderate activity which is beneficial, while both underactivity and overactivity, right? So you have that bit, can be detrimental, can actually even hurt your attempts. So I think there's a nuanced role for exercise with fertility. The key thing is balance. One of the things we talk about with our patients is moderate exercise. The moderate exercise is considered generally beneficial. What is moderate activity? Moderate activity is described as maybe about 150 minutes per week. And this may be associated with improved fertility outcomes, especially in women. For women who are overweight, moderate activity may be linked to improved ovulatory function and menstrual regularity. It can also improve success rates if you're going through assisted reproductive technology treatments. Studies have shown that women engaging in moderate exercise prior to IVF may have higher implantation and live birth rates compared to their sedentary counterparts. And while in the middle of ART, you probably want to dial it back a little bit and maybe not so rigorous. In men, moderate exercise may actually improve sperm motility, the ability for the sperm to move, the shape, which is called the morphology, and actually the count. But that's just it. That's the sweet spot of exercise. And before I go on to talk about the extremes, when I think of exercise, I don't mean go out and try to break the Olympic record. Going for a walk, after meals or in the evening, that counts. I'm sure you guys, if you've not read it, you should pick up the book called Atomic Habits that talks about habit stacking. If you want to do something, you're not going to get up and start doing it all of a sudden. You're going to set yourself up for success. So one of the things I encourage my patients to do is put a yoga mat in your bedroom. So when you get out of bed, get on your mat, do some morning stretches. If you're up to it, do some push-ups. They're very good for your heart. Do some cat-cow moves. Do some planks or side planks, if you will. And if you want, you can do some flutter kicks. and you start to, vary it as your body starts to get used to it. You vary it. You can increase the intensity. You can dial it back. But if you do this on most mornings, you're well ahead of the game, and you can follow up with a late evening walk. That's it, right? You can go to the gym if that's your thing, um, but if not, just start a little bit at a time. Now, the thing that I want to caution patients on, there is something called the female athlete triad. This is when there's just too much, when exercise is so intense and women are not taking in enough nourishment. So you're not fueling your body for the amount of demand that you're placing on it. So that leads to what is called this female athlete triad, and it has a very negative impact, and it leads to menstrual dysfunction. Some people even stop having menstrual cycle, um, and it's also associated with lower pregnancy rates and a higher incidence of cycle cancellation in patients who are going through IVF. um, in men, very intense training for a prolonged period of times, especially something like cycling or endurance sport, can actually now have a negative impact on sperm count and testosterone level. Um, and one of the mechanisms they believe that could be causing this is because of the resultant elevated scrotal temperature and also physical stress. Now, anytime you have physical stress, think cortisol, right? So that's the stress hormone. So if you overdo it, you move your body into a stress state, right? So, how does that happen? Exercise influences some key reproductive hormones and metabolic regulators such as insulin, leptin, which is your satiety hormone, meaning lets you know when you're hungry, full, and ghrelin. If you think ghrelin is that the way it sounds, is the hormone that produced from your stomach that lets you know you're very hungry, and of course cortisol and the sex steroid. So moderate exercise actually improves your insulin sensitivity. Right. So both those of you who are diabetic or pre-diabetic, if you go out and exercise and use your large muscle groups, your muscle will act as a glucose sink and it actually makes you better. That's moderate exercise. And it also reduces inflammation. Excessive exercise, on the other hand, starts to raise your cortisol level and to decrease your FSH and LH, which are we call them the gonadotropins. Those are the signal going from the brain to your gonads, your ovaries, and it starts to interfere with that nice rhythm, that nice regular rhythm that the brain is trying to set up. Also, excess body fat, we know that negatively impacts fertility, and weight loss achieved through structured exercise can improve menstrual regularity, especially in patients with PCOS. But if you overdo it and you drop your body fat below a certain range, right? We talked about the female athlete syndrome. You start to, when you deplete your body of essential nutrients, when you over exercise, you start to really break things down, and then you swing into the negative side of things. What happens when that happens? Well, we call that inflammation, oxidative stress. Think of oxidative stress as the body rusting away, right? So chronic inflammation and oxidative damage can harm the sperm and egg quality, right? So exercise can reduce systemic inflammation, but over exercising has the opposite effect, and it actually elevates all these stress markers. So I think that we as providers should caution our patients about what sort of exercise regimen they're undertaking and to see if they're overdoing it or maybe even underdoing. The goal is to promote individualized, moderate intensity physical activity um, while emphasizing energy balance so you can achieve the regularity you need. So, um, important things to remember: moderate exercise, greater than 150 or equal to 150 minutes per week, in women who are overweight may improve your chances. Excessive exercise causes hypothalamic amenorrhea. We talked about the female triad syndrome. So high intensity or prolonged endurance training without adequate nutritional support. And again, the concept of the female athlete syndrome. Let's talk about this a little bit. So the female athlete syndrome, where you just have low energy, you're not taking enough nutrients to support the amount of exercise you're doing, can also lead to bone loss, right? You have decreased bone mineral density, and it sets you up for fractures. All right, so it's not necessarily a good thing. And it just illustrates the interrelated impact of excessive exercise on reproduction and skeletal health. So again, I encourage you, I think the key thing is the sweet spot of exercise when you're trying to do it. And the weather is turning nicer outside. So I'm an outdoorsy person. I love nature. Simply going for a walk is very good. You move your body, but more importantly, it also decreases stress if you're out in nature. So you can actually get the benefit of physical movement and stress reduction. So remember, I think the key is the sweet spot. You want to find that sweet spot. You want to individualize it. And if you're not sure, then, talk to a trainer, talk to your doctor, get some guidance before you overdo it. I know I have several patients that are, kind of gym rats, and some of them have overdone it and injured themselves, have fractured bones, but you don't need to do that. Exercise can be beneficial if used right. Again, thank you very much for listening to me. This is Dr. Famuyiwa. I hope this episode was beneficial for you. And if you want to like, share, and support us, that's how we get more people. The algorithm helps us get our message out to more patients. Thank you. Till the next time. Thank you for tuning in to Fertile Talks. We hope today's episode has provided you with valuable insights and support for your fertility journey. Remember, you are not alone. Now, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please simply leave us a comment. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with a friend. Your ratings, your shares, and your reviews are greatly appreciated, and it's going to help us serve more of our listening audience. Thank you once again. This is Dr. Famuyiwa.